Just to start things off, I don't think anyone thinks of a school like Baruch when they think of a typical university in the United States. There's so many things about Baruch College that are so different from most other schools that I think it's worth taking some time to talk about what it's really like to go here. I remember when I was applying to college, I still had so many questions about Baruch since it is so different from all the other schools that I was applying to. So, hi, my name's Adam and I'm now a junior at Baruch studying finance. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing the top 10 things that I wish I had known before I decided to come to Baruch. First off, Baruch is a commuter school, which means instead of living in dorms, most people here commute to school from their houses or apartments. And the entire campus is basically made up of 3 buildings, 2 of which are for classes, and the other one which is the library. Baruch does offer housing to its students, but it's not on campus, so to speak. The dorm building is owned by a separate company that provides student housing to a bunch of different colleges in New York, some of the most popular being Baruch, Hunter, and LIM. The commute from the dorms to campus is about a 15-minute train ride, which is by no means bad, but just know you're not going to get that centralized campus vibe that you get at most universities. One thing I didn't realize until I started meeting people in my classes is that almost everyone who goes to Baruch is from New York. You do get the occasional international student or out-of-state student like me, but I would say 95% of the student body is made up of native New Yorkers. Which I think is really cool actually, because you get to see this perspective of New York that not many tourists or transplants get to experience. If you do decide to live in the dorms though, you'll be much more likely to meet these non-native students, so that's just something to keep in mind. I want to say like 80% of Baruch students are business majors, with the most popular concentrations being in finance, accounting, and marketing. There's also CIS, international business, management, real estate, entrepreneurship, and also Baruch has some great math-related majors. Statistics and quantitative modeling and financial mathematics are like top tier. There's also this master's program at Baruch that literally beat Princeton for the top spot in the country. So if that's something you're interested in, it's definitely something to look into. Literally for the first class that I ever took at Baruch, the professor was an actual psychologist with his own clinic who just taught on the side. And I've had tons of finance professors who would come into class right after work just to teach, which is really cool because a lot of the time they'll share a lot more real world experience than you would ever get from a regular professor. Okay, to be completely honest, making friends at Baruch is not easy. Because it's a commuter school, so many people just show up to class and leave right after. And even if you put yourself out there, most of the people that you meet in your classes will only end up being acquaintances. So, if you really want to make close friendships at Baruch, you have to join clubs. And I know you might be saying, oh, I'm not really a club person, I'm just gonna try to make my friends more organically. Trust me, the people at Baruch who don't join clubs regret it. I was lucky enough to find an organization that I liked early on called DSP, which is a business fraternity. And this was one of those groups where I noticed that everyone was actually really close with each other, so I decided to join. And now I would say that most of my closest friends came from that one decision. So please, 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 if you come to Baruch, make an effort to find a club that you really like and join it. When I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go to college, I was really unsure of what the admissions process would be like at Baruch. If you Google the acceptance rate at Baruch, it says around 40 to 50% of applicants get in. The average SAT range is from 1150 to 1350, and the average high school GPA for students who got in was a 3.7. If you decide to apply to Baruch, they have 2 short essay questions that you have to respond to, which I don't think was something I had to do. In fact, I'm pretty sure when I applied, I was able to do it through the Common App, and the essay section was optional. So overall, I wouldn't consider Baruch to be that competitive of a school to get into. For me, it was actually one of my safeties. As long as you have good grades, a decent SAT score, and you're okay at writing, I would say you have a fair chance at getting in. Because Baruch isn't really considered a super competitive school, I was a bit suspicious of how the education would be here, and I came from a high school that had pretty high standards, so I really didn't want to be in a class where I felt like the professor didn't know what they were talking about. But overall, I would say I've been pleasantly surprised by the education at Baruch. It's definitely a lot easier as a freshman and sophomore because you're taking a lot of those general education courses that kind of feel like a waste of time. But once you get into the higher level courses for your major, at least for finance, the coursework does get more challenging. One of the greatest things about Baruch is that it's located in New York City, which is one of the biggest business capitals in the world. And with that comes some of the best opportunities for getting jobs and internships. Because there's so much going on here at all times, there's always someone who's looking to hire some college students for some extra help. And unlike most people who are only able to do internships in summer and maybe winter, at Baruch, you're able to do internships all year round. This is great, one, because you're able to make some extra money while studying, and two, you're able to build up your resume much more quickly because of all the opportunities that are available. Okay, listen, I don't really care who you are, local, out-of-stater, international student, your experience at Baruch is entirely up to you. It really is what you make of it. When you go here, you'll hear a lot of people complaining about all these different things at Baruch. Oh, it's so lame here, everyone's so antisocial, they just go to class and leave. It's not a target school, you're not gonna be able to find a good job. The professors suck, they don't know what they're talking about. And you know what? These people might have a point, but honestly, I don't really have that much sympathy for them. The thing about Baruch is that nothing is handed to you here. The kind of experience that you have is entirely in your hands. If you want friends, put yourself out there and join clubs. If you want to be successful, go out and start studying the industry on your own. You want to get a job? Start networking and applying. No one's out here trying to make sure that you have the ideal college experience. That's up to you. And look, I get it. It's not easy. These things take a lot of work. But that also makes it so much more rewarding to know that you earned everything you did to get to where you are now. So these are the top 10 things that I would tell my younger self if I could go back in time and sprinkle some knowledge on high school senior Adam, who is just trying to figure things out. Overall, I think Baruch was a great fit for me. It's definitely not for everyone, but if I could go back in time and do things different, I wouldn't change a thing. If you're considering going to Baruch, or maybe you're already even a student here and you have questions, please feel free to comment them down below and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you want to see in the future videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.